After Christmas dinner, I noticed something weird. My credit card had been hit with charges for every single present. Dad looked at me and, as if this had already been decided, said, "We voted. Since you don't have kids, you should cover the ones who do." My hands were shaking when I grabbed my phone. I looked him in the eye and said, "Well then, you're really gonna enjoy what's coming." He actually laughed. The next day, my phone was blowing up. 53 missed calls. Cousins yelling, Mom practically sobbing, and even Dad begging me to stop. But by then, I'd already done what needed to be done. I just stared at my fork, still halfway to my mouth, and said, "You've got to be kidding me." I checked my phone under the table during dinner, thinking at first maybe there'd been some kind of error. But no, there it was, $3,642 charged to my card that very morning. Then I saw the breakdown. Big box stores, toy shops, online retailers. Every last Christmas gift. Every single one. I leaned in and asked quietly, just loud enough to cut through the sound of ripping wrapping paper and those weak Christmas songs playing in the background, "Who did this?" Dad didn't even flinch, just looked up from his wine glass like I'd asked about the stuffing. With a straight face, he said, "We voted. You don't have kids, so it made sense you'd cover the gifts this year." I blinked at him, trying to make sense of what I was hearing, and like he was giving a lecture on the weather, he went on, "You don't have kids. We all do, so we figured it was fair." I turned to Mom. She instantly dropped her eyes to her plate. My sister just kept sipping her wine while her twins gleefully tore into Lego sets that, apparently, I had unknowingly paid for. My cousin Tyler shot me this awkward, guilty little shrug. Like he knew this was messed up but didn't plan on doing a damn thing about it. "You used my card without saying a word," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "You just decided I'd foot the bill because I'm single? You always say you don't mind helping," Mom murmured. "Helping," I echoed, nearly laughing. "Helping means I offer. This was some backroom scheme." "Don't make a big deal out of it," Dad said with a shrug. "It's just money. You've got plenty." My heart was pounding so hard it drowned out everything else in the room. I looked around that table, 12 people, and I realized half of them only ever contacted me when they needed something. Favor, a loan, whatever. And now they'd all agreed, quietly behind my back, that I should bankroll their Christmas. Like it was some prize I'd won for being single. "You've got to be kidding me," I said, pushing back from the table. "Sit down," my cousin snapped. "Don't ruin the vibe. The kids are having fun." "Oh, I'm not ruining anything," I said, reaching into my pocket for my phone. "I'm ending the show." "What's that supposed to mean?" Dad asked, amused. I locked eyes with him. "It means you're about to find out." He chuckled, like I was bluffing, like I'd never actually do it. But the next day, he wasn't laughing anymore. Because that morning, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. 53 missed calls. Cousins in a panic. Mom pleading. Dad actually begging me to call it off. But it was too late. I'd already hit send. See, you don't just wake up one day and suddenly realize your family thinks of you as their personal ATM. It's more like a slow leak under the floorboards. You don't notice until everything rots out from underneath you. For me, it started years ago, right after college. I landed a job in tech. Nothing glamorous, just stable work, decent pay, health insurance, and a bank account that didn't bounce. Meanwhile, my sister got pregnant at 23 and moved back in with our parents. My cousin Brandon dropped out of grad school and spent the next 7 years figuring things out. My parents chalked it up to life being hard. And me? I was the one who had it together. That's what they kept saying. "You're doing well. You don't need much," Mom would say with that soft, patronizing smile. "You're lucky," she'd remind me. "You should share that luck," Tessa once told me. While taking a rent check I wrote out for her son. First, it was small stuff. School supplies, gas money for someone's job interview, pitching in on a group gift no one asked if I agreed to. But then it turned into something constant. When my brother Eli lost his job, I covered his rent for 6 months. When cousin Lena wanted to launch her small business, I paid her Shopify fees and bought her first round of inventory. She sold 2 things, then ghosted the whole project. Uncle Ronald? No insurance. Big health scare. Guess who picked up the bill? Yeah. And I didn't say anything. Not at first. I told myself, this is just what families do. But here's the truth. Families don't hand you a knife and then thank you for bleeding. They drained me, and I let them. What really messed me up, though, was how they acted like they were doing me a favor. You get to feel good about helping, they'd say. Your name's on the card. That's special. Don't be uptight. We're family. No one ever said thank you. Not once. And it wasn't just the money. It was time. Energy. Every ounce of emotional fuel I had. I became the default babysitter. The backup plan. The one they'd call when something fell apart. One year, I came down with the flu on Christmas Eve. Sent a text to Mom letting her know I wouldn't make it. She replied, okay, but can you still send the gifts? The kids are counting on you. I remember sitting on my bathroom floor, wrapped in a blanket, head spinning from the fever, and thinking, why do they only remember I exist when there's a price tag attached? But the real breaking point? The thing that set everything in motion? It happened 3 months before that Christmas dinner. I'd taken my niece to the bookstore and told her she could pick anything she wanted. $150 later, she walked out beaming, arms full of markers, hardcover books, and this huge stuffed sloth she named Pilsino. She was glowing. I felt good about it too. Until I dropped her off. Where's Slumpy from? My sister asked. I let her pick it out today, I said, smiling. My sister frowned. You're spoiling her. You think you're the cool uncle just because you've got money. I blinked, caught off guard. Wait, what? She scoffed like she'd been waiting to say it. Maybe instead of dropping cash on toys, try getting a personality. That one hit like a brick, but in that weird way where it almost made me laugh. I had just spent the whole weekend with her kid. Gave up my downtime, time I could have spent catching up on sleep, dating, literally doing anything else for me, and instead of a simple thank you, I got insulted. Like being generous somehow made me pathetic. That's when something snapped. Not in her, but in me. The mask I'd been wearing, the one that told me they were just family, slipped clean off. And I saw them for what they were. Not loved ones, takers in disguise. Masters in guilt-tripping. They didn't respect me. I'm not even sure they liked me. To them, I wasn't a brother, or a cousin, or a son, I was just a wallet with a heartbeat. Then came December. Right around mid-November, the usual buzz started in the family group chat, talk of Christmas plans. No surprise, they just assumed I'd host again. That I'd play Santa again. That I'd fund the entire operation. Again. But this time? I was ready to say no. I swear I was. Then my dad texted me separately. Real smooth. You're so good at this stuff, he wrote. Why don't you handle the gifts again? We'll settle up after. After? I hadn't seen a single dime from last year. Or the year before that. So I replied short and to the point, only if we agree beforehand who's paying. He read it. And then didn't respond for 3 full weeks. I thought maybe, just maybe, the silence meant they'd finally gotten the message. I was wrong. Instead, they went behind my back and used my backup credit card. One I'd given my mom years ago, just in case. Turns out she still had it. Worse? She clearly passed the info around. Because when the charges hit, they were from 5 different stores. None of them anywhere near her. She hadn't bought a thing. They had bought everything. I confronted them at dinner. And they laughed. Laughed. Dad leaned back and, with that same smug grin, said, we voted. You don't have kids, so you should cover for the ones who do. Like that made it okay. Like this was a democracy. Like I didn't have a right to say no. That's when it hit me, they genuinely believed it. They really thought I was supposed to exist to lighten their load. That because I didn't have kids, I somehow owed a piece of my life to support theirs. That my money, my peace, my free time were optional. Disposable. Because I didn't have what they had, chaos, bills, a house full of noise and toys and exhaustion. They wore it like a badge of honor. Like it made them better. And when I stood up and said they were gonna love what came next, they didn't even blink. Dad actually laughed like I was bluffing. Like I'd never follow through. I barely slept that night. Not out of guilt, I hadn't fully processed enough to feel that yet, but I wasn't exactly calm either. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, mentally replaying every little jab. Every moment they made me feel less than because my life looked different. Because I wasn't knee-deep in diapers or late fees, they thought I had no real struggles. No weight. No value except what I could give them. But when the morning sun started creeping through the blinds, something inside me shifted. All the hesitation drained out of me. It didn't leave anger behind, it left clarity. You want to play democracy? Fine. Let's vote. I grabbed my laptop. Subject line, holiday contribution changes. And I started typing. Effective immediately, I'm stepping back from any and all financial contributions related to our extended family. That means no more Christmas gifts. No birthday presents for kids or adults. No school tuition help. No covering mortgage shortfalls. No Venmos for emergencies. No more paying off credit cards, fixing your cars, covering your subscriptions, or bailing you out of anything you didn't plan for. If you've spent money using my cards, expect a chargeback. If you saved or shared my card details without asking, expect legal contact. You voted. I'm voting back. Merry Christmas. The childless one. Then I hit send. To everyone. Every single name in that chat. My parents, my sister, all 6 cousins, my aunt who still thinks I owe her for babysitting me when I was 4. Then I shut off my phone. It took exactly 7 hours and 16 minutes for them to crack. When I turned my phone back on, it lit up like a war zone. 53 missed calls. Dozens of texts. Voicemails with crying. Cousins threatening to sue me for emotional damage. My mom left a message that started with, "I'm heartbroken," and ended with, "This is beyond disappointing." And Dad? He called 12 times. The last voicemail was just one line. "Please, for the love of God, don't do this." But it was already done. Because by then I'd spoken to the bank. The fraud report had gone through. Over $3,600 in charges were now flagged as unauthorized. Those Barbie dream houses? The Nerf sniper rifles? The iPads and video game bundles? On hold. Or already being shipped back. And the best part? I froze the emergency card. So when Cousin Lena tried to book a hotel room that night, declined. Twice. The fallout? Catastrophic. The next morning I got a call from my uncle. One of the few who never asked me for anything but also never spoke up when the rest of them did. His voice was low, almost ashamed. "Your mom's in tears. She says you ruined Christmas." I didn't even blink. "No," I said. "They ruined it the moment they turned it into a transaction. They were just overwhelmed," he said. I cut him off. "No. They were entitled. There's a difference." There was a pause. "You're really charging them all back?" "I already did." He let out a slow sigh. "Well, I can't say they didn't have it coming." And he hung up. That was the last civil conversation I had for days. The real storm hit 3 days later when I came home from work. And found them waiting on my porch. There they were. Mom, Dad, and my sister Vanessa standing on my porch like a gang of guilt with matching scowls. Vanessa had her arms crossed and this twisted look on her face like she'd been sucking on a lemon dipped in battery acid. "Can we talk?" Mom asked. Her voice was already shaky. I stepped aside and opened the door. "Say what you came to say." Mom jumped right in. "We didn't mean for it to happen like this," she said, rushing her words. "We just thought." "What?" I cut her off. "That I'd shut my mouth and swipe my card again? That I'd grin through it, get robbed blind, but hey, at least we had eggnog. Dad tried to slide in like he was the reasonable one. Son, come on, don't turn this into a war. We're family." I let out a laugh, loud, sharp, bitter. "No, you turned it into a war when you used my card without even asking and tried to call it a vote." I looked him dead in the eyes. That didn't feel like family. That felt like betrayal. Vanessa rolled her eyes so hard I thought she'd pull something. "Oh my God, are you seriously still going on about that?" she groaned. "It's not like we emptied your entire bank account. I paid for your car last summer." I snapped. "Because you couldn't drive to work with a busted windshield. You swore you'd pay me back." She scoffed. "You make 6 figures. You'll live." And that I took a step closer, that was the moment I knew I was done. "That right there," I said, pointing at her, "is exactly why this ends now. To you all, I'm not a brother. I'm not a son. I'm a walking ATM with a casserole recipe." Mom's eyes welled up. "We just wanted the kids to have a nice Christmas." "So you stole from me?" Dad stepped forward again, firmer this time. "Enough. This has gone too far. You need to fix this. Undo the chargebacks. Now." I didn't say a word. So he changed tactics. "Think about how this looks," he said, his tone turning dark. "What do you want people to think? That you betrayed your own family over a few presents?" Still looking straight at him, I said, "No. I want them to know I finally grew a spine." And then I dropped the sentence that made Mom gasp, Vanessa scream, and Dad go ghost white. "I'm done with all of you. I've already blocked your numbers. And this weekend I'm moving out of state. Alone." The silence that followed? Glorious. I opened the door behind me. "Now get off my porch." The first 2 days after that standoff were dead quiet. And honestly, it was the most peaceful 48 hours I'd had in years. No calls. No texts loaded with guilt. No, just checking in messages that always came with strings attached. I sat on the floor of my living room, sipping coffee, a mellow Spotify playlist humming in the background, and I realized for once I wasn't carrying anyone else's problems. No one needed a bill paid. No one expected a miracle. No one was waiting for me to come to the rescue. It was peace. But I knew my family. They weren't going to walk away quietly. Not when they just lost their favorite donor. By the third day, the manipulations started rolling in. Maybe we should talk like adults? Your mom's been sick with stress. Are you proud of yourself? The kids keep asking why Uncle Ghost doesn't call anymore. I saw all the texts. I didn't answer a single one. Because deep down I knew they didn't miss me, they missed what I provided. Then something unexpected happened. A message popped up from Brandon, my cousin. I screwed up. Can we talk? I didn't reply. An hour later he was on my doorstep. And he looked different. Not the usual hoodie-clad, half-asleep guy who lived off sarcasm and excuses. He was cleaned up, hair combed, wearing a blazer, even had a watch on, like he was playing the part of someone who had his act together. I enrolled in some online courses, he said. Marketing. Started working with a buddy, trying to actually figure things out. For real. I didn't say anything. I was jealous of you, he admitted. That's why I lashed out. You had this life with no mess, no kids, no noise. And I hated that. I tilted my head. You here for money? No, he said quickly. I came to tell you. I'm not your shadow anymore. For a second I almost believed him. But then 30 minutes after he left, I got a notification from my bank. Someone was trying to reset access to my online account. Guess who? Brandon. He hadn't changed. He wasn't sorry. He just wanted to see if I still fell for the tears. I changed every password. Froze every card. Called the bank again. That was the last time anyone in my family got anywhere near my life. And what came next? Freedom. I ended my lease. Accepted a new job in another state, higher salary, better team, better everything. Found an apartment. No family within 400 miles. But you know what the best part was? A message from Jenna, Brandon's wife. I saw what he did. I'm filing for divorce. And thank you. You were the only one who ever really helped. That hit me harder than I expected. She knew. The whole time. She saw what was happening. But stayed quiet. Until now. And in that moment it hit me, maybe this choice I made to walk away wasn't just about me. Maybe me choosing myself gave someone else the strength to do the same. Before I left town I sent one final message to the family group chat. I renamed it, "This bank has permanently closed. Try loving instead." Then I hit leave chat. As I drove out of town, car packed with boxes, windows down, music turned all the way up, I smiled. I was alone. But for the first time, that wasn't a punishment. That was freedom. Funny how quiet the world gets when you finally cut out the people who never actually listened. After I moved, changed my number, and blocked every last one of them, the silence didn't feel like loneliness. It felt like peace. Deep, real, full-bodied peace. No more texts asking, "Can you spot me for rent this month?" No more guilt trips pretending to be concerned. No more notifications from people who only knew how to say hi when they were about to say, "Can you help?" They were gone. Not just gone, cut off. And for the first time in my adult life, I wasn't responsible for anyone else's survival. And for the first time, I was surviving on my own terms. I found a new place. Nothing fancy. But it was mine. My rules. My budget. My fridge full of food I liked. That first night in my new place, I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, not because I was bracing for a call, but because for the first time in my life, I knew there wouldn't be one. And let me tell you, there's a certain kind of healing that only shows up in silence. In not having to explain why you're setting a boundary. In not second-guessing yourself every time you say no. In finally letting go of that voice in your head whispering, "Am I being too harsh?" No. You're not harsh. You're finally free. They still tried to break through, of course. New numbers started popping up. Voicemails from blocked contacts, full of fake concern and vague guilt. Even a burner Instagram account messaged me, "Come home. We're family. Enough is enough." I actually laughed. Enough is enough? That's exactly what I said when they used my credit card without permission and laughed in my face. That's what I said when my own dad told me I should do more since I didn't have kids. That's what I said when my cousin, after all of it, still tried to break into my bank account. But this time, enough wasn't me asking for a break. It was me drawing a line. A permanent one. And here's the thing, they're never crossing it again. I started therapy. Told my therapist the whole saga, from the emotional manipulation to the money to the betrayal wrapped in holiday bows. She didn't even flinch. just nodded and said, "You were conditioned to believe that love has to be earned through sacrifice." That line hit me like a freight train. Because that was it. Right there. They had convinced me that unless I gave, I didn't matter. Unless I paid up money, time, energy, I wasn't really part of the family. If I wasn't sacrificing something, they couldn't even pretend to love me. That's not family. That's control. And I walked away from it. People ask me now, do you ever regret cutting them off? Not for a single second. What I do regret? Waiting as long as I did. I regret every birthday party I paid for but never got invited to. I regret every late-night drive across town to help with an electric bill only to get ghosted the moment the lights came back on. I regret being the guy who remembered every cousin's kid's birthday while mine got forgotten year after year. I regret letting them convince me I was selfish for finally asking where the line was. So no, I don't flinch when I think of them. They made their decision the moment they treated me like a resource, not a relative. They had their vote. And I had mine. It was unanimous. I'm out. And here's the twist they never saw coming. I'm thriving. Better than I ever was when I was their emotional and financial safety net. I got promoted. I started traveling again. I'm dating someone who doesn't want anything from me but honesty and time, someone who listens, not just takes. I started picking up the hobbies I'd shelved for years just trying to keep everyone else afloat. Photography, for one. I'm learning how to actually cook, not just scarf down takeout at midnight between paying someone else's rent and covering another surprise vet bill. And yeah, I got a dog. I named her Balance. She's quiet, loyal, and doesn't ask me for anything but love. And honestly, that's more than I ever got from most of my blood relatives. Just when I thought the story had finally closed, I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. It read, "He's out. We're getting divorced. I thought you should know." It was Jenna, Brandon's now ex-wife. She'd finally left him. Turns out Brandon's big transformation had a shelf life. She told me later that he spiraled. Lost his job. Started drinking. Burned through whatever cash he had left. And the kicker? She found out he was still trying to use my old banking info. Even after everything. "You were the only one who ever really saw it," she told me. "I didn't believe you before. I do now." That's when it really hit me, this whole thing, it wasn't just about protecting myself. It was about refusing to carry their delusions anymore. And sometimes, when you finally walk away from dysfunction, you don't just save yourself. You shine a light bright enough for someone else to see the truth too. I didn't lose a family. I escaped a con. So when people ask me now, what happened with your family? I just smile and say, I used to be the one who paid for Christmas. Now I'm the one who saved myself from it. And I wouldn't trade that freedom for anything.